Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of English Without Limit. I'm your host, Julia, and today we're going to talk about something that touches all of our lives, a typical day at work or school. This episode is designed for learners at B1 and B2 levels, so I'll be using clear, natural English, but you'll also hear some more advanced vocabulary and expressions. Make sure you listen carefully, and don't worry if you don't understand everything the first time. You can always pause, rewind, and replay. Let's start by imagining your morning. Most people start their day early. Some wake up at 6, others at 7, and some are lucky enough to sleep a little longer. When you wake up, the first thing you usually do is get out of bed. Some people like to stretch, maybe do a few exercises, or take a shower. Others prefer to check their phones immediately, looking at messages or social media. Breakfast is an important part of the morning. Many people have a simple breakfast, like toast, eggs, or cereal, while others enjoy something more substantial, like pancakes or a smoothie. Drinking coffee or tea is common for many adults. It helps them wake up and prepare for the day ahead. After breakfast, it's time to get ready for work or school. If you're going to an office, you might choose formal clothes like a shirt and trousers, or maybe a business casual outfit. Students often wear uniforms or casual clothes, depending on their school rules. Packing your bag is important too. At school, this might mean textbooks, notebooks, and a pencil case. At work, it could include your laptop, documents, and anything else you need for meetings or tasks. Now let's talk about the commute. How do you get to work or school? Some people drive, others take public transport, and some even walk or ride a bike. Commutes can be short or long, and they often set the tone for your day. For example, a smooth, quiet commute can make you feel calm and ready to start your day. On the other hand, traffic jams, crowded buses, or delayed trains can make the morning stressful. Once you arrive at your workplace or school, the day really begins. Let's start with a typical office scenario. Many people begin by checking their emails. Some are urgent and some are just informational. After that, they might attend a meeting with their team to discuss projects and plans for the day. This could be a short meeting, maybe 15 to 30 minutes, or a longer one if the project is complicated. Between meetings, people often work on their own tasks. This could mean writing reports, answering emails, making phone calls, or preparing presentations. Some tasks are quick and easy, while others are more challenging and require focus and creativity. Office workers often take short breaks during the day. Maybe they get a coffee, chat with a colleague, or walk around to relax their mind. These small breaks help maintain energy and focus throughout the day. Now, let's think about school. Students usually have lessons in different subjects. In the morning, they might have math or science, followed by language classes, history, or art. Each lesson lasts around 40 to 60 minutes. Students listen to the teacher, take notes, and participate in activities or discussions. Between lessons, there are short breaks where students can have a snack, talk with friends, or prepare for the next class. Lunchtime is another important part of the day. At work, many people go to a cafeteria, a nearby restaurant, or eat something they brought from home. They often eat with colleagues, and lunchtime can be a social moment to relax and chat. Students usually have lunch in the school cafeteria, and it's also a time to meet friends and enjoy a little rest before afternoon classes begin. After lunch, the afternoon at work or school continues. Office workers may attend more meetings, work on larger projects, or collaborate with team members. Students continue their lessons. sometimes with practical activities like experiments in science class or group projects in English or history. By mid-afternoon, both workers and students might start to feel a little tired. This is normal. The brain needs energy to focus. Some people drink coffee or tea again, while others take a short walk to refresh themselves. Efficient people plan their tasks carefully, finishing important work first and leaving easier or less urgent tasks for later. As the day ends, people start to wrap up. Office workers might send final emails, organize their desks, and plan the next day's tasks. Students often review homework assignments, pack their school bags, and say goodbye to teachers and friends. Finally, the commute home begins. Some people use this time to listen to music, a podcast, or even practice English, which is a great idea. Once home, people usually relax, have dinner, spend time with family, or enjoy a hobby. Some continue working from home, especially if they have deadlines. A typical day ends when people prepare for bed, reflect on their day, and get ready to start again tomorrow. Now that we've talked about the structure of a typical day at work or school, let's dive a bit deeper into the interactions people have throughout their day. These interactions are very important because communication is a key part of both working life and school life. Listening carefully and understanding how people talk can help you improve your English skills a lot. Imagine you are at the office in the morning. You walk into your workspace and your colleague Sarah says, "Good morning, Julia. Did you finish the report we discussed yesterday?" In response, you might say, "Good morning, Sarah. Yes, I completed it last night and sent it to your email. Did you have a chance to look at it?" This is a natural, polite way to start a conversation. Notice the use of the past tense completed and the phrase, "Did you have a chance to?" which is very common in professional English. Next, you might join a team meeting. Meetings can be challenging to understand in English because many people speak quickly and use idioms or technical vocabulary. For example, your manager might say, "Let's circle back to the project deadlines. We need to make sure everyone is on the same page before Friday." Here, circle back means to return to a topic, and on the same page means to understand and agree. A good response could be, "Absolutely. I've updated my tasks and I can share my progress with the team." After the meeting, you may have tasks that involve writing emails. Emails are another form of interaction that requires careful attention. For instance, you might need to write to a client, "Dear Mr. Thompson, I hope you are doing well. I am writing to provide an update on the project. We have completed the first phase and are now moving on to the next stage. Please let me know if you have any questions or need additional information." Notice the formal style, polite phrases, and structured sentences. Using clear language like this is essential for professional communication. Now let's switch to a school environment. Imagine you are a student and your teacher asks a question in class. "Can anyone explain the process of photosynthesis?" A confident answer could be, "Photosynthesis is the process by which plants use sunlight to make food. They take in carbon dioxide from the air and water from the soil, and with sunlight, they produce glucose and oxygen." This answer is clear and uses correct vocabulary. When students answer confidently, it not only helps them learn, but also improves their listening and speaking skills because they practice using full sentences. During school, students often work in groups or pairs. This is very common in B1, B2 level classes. For example, In an English class, the teacher might say, please work with your partner to prepare a short dialogue about a daily routine. You could then say to your partner, okay, I'll start. Every morning, I wake up at 7 a.m., brush my teeth, and have breakfast. After that, I go to school by bus. What about you? This type of practice helps students improve both vocabulary and fluency. Let's go back to work. During the day, many office workers communicate with clients or colleagues online. For instance, you might use a chat application to ask, hi, Tom, do you have the latest version of the presentation? I need it for the client meeting at 3 p.m. Tom could reply, hi, Julia. Yes, I just uploaded it to the shared drive. Let me know if you need any changes here. Short, clear sentences are very effective. It's important to keep messages polite but to the point. Sometimes unexpected situations happen during a typical day. Let's imagine a student arrives at school and discovers that a class has been canceled. The student might ask a friend, hey, do you know why Mr. Smith isn't in class today? The friend could answer, I heard he has a meeting with the principal. I think we have free time now. In the office, an unexpected situation might be that a client changes the deadline. You could say to your manager, the client just emailed me. They need the report by tomorrow instead of next week. How should I handle this? Learning phrases like, how should I handle this, is very useful for real life English. Another important part of a day is taking breaks and socializing. At school, students often chat during recess. Did you finish the math homework? Or, I'm going to the library. Do you want to come with me? At work, coworkers might talk during coffee breaks. Did you watch the game last night? Or, how was your weekend? Listening and participating in these casual conversations helps learners understand everyday English expressions, slang, and tone. Lunch breaks are often a time to practice English in a relaxed environment. For example, you might sit with a group and ask, what are you having for lunch today? Someone could reply, I brought a sandwich, but I'm thinking of going to the cafeteria for a salad. You might respond, that sounds good. I'm going to grab some pasta from the cafeteria too. These conversations are natural and help learners hear vocabulary for food choices and social interactions. After lunch, the afternoon often brings more challenging tasks. At work, this might include solving a problem, analyzing data, or preparing a presentation. A colleague could ask, do you need any help with the report? A good response might be, thanks, I'm almost done, but I could use your feedback on the summary section. Feedback is an important part of learning and professional development, and practicing these phrases improves both listening and speaking skills. At school, the afternoon might include interactive activities. For example, students could do a science experiment. The teacher might instruct, carefully measure 50 milliliters of water and pour it into the test tube. Students must listen carefully to follow the instructions, which is a great way to practice comprehension. Later, they might discuss their results. I noticed the liquid changed color. Did you see the same thing? Collaborative tasks like this teach learners how to describe observations and experiences accurately in English. By the late afternoon, both workers and students start wrapping up their day. At work, someone might say, I'll finish this report tomorrow. Don't forget to send your updates before leaving. A student might ask a classmate, do you understand the homework? Can we review it together? These moments are perfect for practicing polite questions, confirmations, and summaries. Finally, after finishing work or school, the commute home provides another opportunity to listen and practice English. Many people listen to podcasts, audiobooks, or music during this time. You can also use this time to review vocabulary from the day. For example, think about the words you heard at work or school and try to make sentences. I completed the report. I shared my homework with a friend. I attended a meeting about the new project. Once people get home after work or school, the evening often begins with a transition from busy activities to relaxation and personal time. Imagine you just arrived home from work. You might put down your bag, take off your shoes, and stretch for a few minutes. These small actions help signal your body and mind that the workday is over. Some people like to make a cup of tea or coffee and sit down for a few minutes before starting other tasks. This short break is also a great time to reflect on your day. You might think, today was productive. I completed the report and attended 2 meetings. Tomorrow I need to finish the presentation and reply to a few emails. Reflecting like this helps learners practice English internally by forming sentences about daily events using past and future tenses. Evenings are also a time for household tasks and responsibilities. Many people need to do chores, such as cooking, cleaning, or laundry. For example, you might say, I need to prepare dinner. I'll cook pasta with vegetables tonight. Or, after dinner, I'll wash the dishes and tidy up the kitchen. For students, evening tasks often include homework or study. A student could think, I need to finish my history assignment by 8 p.m., and then I'll revise my English vocabulary. Talking to yourself or describing your tasks aloud in English is an excellent listening and speaking exercise. Now, let's think about interacting with family or roommates. When someone else is home, you might greet them. Hi, how was your day? A typical response could be, it was good. I had a busy day at work, but I finished everything I needed to. How about you? This is a natural conversation and uses common phrases like, how was your day? A polite way to start a discussion about daily activities. Sharing your day in detail is also great practice. I attended a meeting in the morning, then I worked on a report. After lunch, I had a call with a client, and finally, I prepared some documents for tomorrow. Notice how each sentence is structured to show a sequence of events, a useful scale in English. Evenings often include time for hobbies or relaxation. People might read a book, watch a show, or play a game. You could say, I'm going to watch a documentary tonight. I want to learn something new while relaxing. Or, I'm reading a novel about a detective story. The plot is very interesting and the vocabulary is useful for my English learning. Watching shows or reading in English is an excellent way to improve listening comprehension and expand vocabulary. For learners, evenings can also be used for practical English exercises. You might review emails you wrote during the day or create a list of new words you heard at work or school. For example, you could write, I heard the word deadline today in the office. It means the date by which a task must be completed. Another word I heard is feedback, which means comments or suggestions about your work. Writing down words and using them in sentences strengthens both comprehension and production skills. Sometimes evenings are used to plan for the next day. A worker might prepare their bag, organize documents, or schedule tasks in a planner. You could say, tomorrow I need to finish the presentation, attend the morning meeting, and send emails to clients. A student might think, I need to bring my notebook, finish the homework, and prepare for the math test. Using the future tense in these sentences helps learners practice talking about upcoming events. Social interactions in the evening can also be part of a typical day. You might call a friend or family member. A conversation could go like this. Hi, Alex, how are you? I'm good, thanks. How was your day? Busy, but productive. I had a meeting at work and finished an important report. What about you? I had school in the morning, then studied in the library. I also prepared my homework for tomorrow. These conversations are simple, but full of vocabulary and phrases used in daily life. Listening carefully helps learners notice the sequence of events, time expressions, and polite responses. For example, I had a busy day but productive combines two ideas smoothly, a skill learners at the B1 to B2 level need to develop. Evening meals are another opportunity for interaction and listening practice. For example, if you were having dinner with your family, someone might ask, "Can you pass the salt, please?" Or, "Did you enjoy your day?" You could answer, "Yes, thank you. I finished an important task at work, so I feel satisfied. How was your day?" These short sentences are polite and clear, and they give learners practice in everyday English. After dinner, some people exercise or take a walk. Exercise is a common part of daily routines and can easily be described in English. For example, I go for a 30-minute walk every evening. It helps me relax and clear my mind after a busy day. Or, I do yoga at home to stretch and stay healthy. I also listen to English podcasts while exercising. Talking about routines using adverbs like every evening or phrases like helps me relax improves both fluency and vocabulary. Another evening activity is watching the news or reading articles. This is especially useful for advanced learners because it exposes them to formal English and current events vocabulary. You might say, I read an article about environmental issues today. It explained how recycling can reduce waste and protect nature. Or, I watched the news on TV. They talked about new policies in schools, and I learned some new words like curriculum and assessment. Finally, many people review their learning before bed. For students, this might include practicing English listening or speaking. I listened to a podcast today. I understood most of it, but I want to repeat it tomorrow to improve my comprehension. Office workers might do something similar. I checked my emails and made notes on new vocabulary. I plan to review it tomorrow morning before starting work. Small daily habits like these help learners steadily improve their English over time. After finishing dinner and completing some personal tasks, many people spend their evenings on hobbies, learning, or planning for the next day. Hobbies can vary widely. Some people enjoy reading books, writing in a journal, or drawing. For example, you might say, I like to write a short diary entry every evening. I write about what I did during the day and what I plan to do tomorrow. It helps me organize my thoughts and practice English at the same time. Writing in English regularly is an excellent method for improving vocabulary, grammar, and sentence structure. Others may enjoy watching TV shows or movies, especially in English. This is not only entertaining, but also an effective way to practice listening. You could say, tonight I'm going to watch a documentary about nature. I want to learn new words and improve my understanding of spoken English. Or, I watch a series in English with subtitles. If I don't understand a word, I pause and check the meaning. This helps me remember new words better. These strategies are very useful for advanced learners because they combined listening comprehension with active learning. But evenings are also a time when people might solve problems or deal with unexpected situations. Imagine you're a student and you realize you forgot to complete part of your homework. You might say, "Oh no, I forgot to finish the last question in my math homework. I need to solve it now before going to bed." Similarly, at work, unexpected tasks may appear. For instance, a client emailed me with a new request for the project. I need to check the files and make the changes tonight. It's a little stressful, but I can manage it. These real-life situations help learners practice vocabulary related to stress, responsibility, problem solving, and time management. Let's now talk about evening social interactions, which are also common. People often call friends or chat online to catch up. A conversation might go like this. "Hi, Julia, how was your day?" "Hi, Emma. It was busy. I had a lot of homework, but I managed to finish it. How about you?" "I had a full day at work. I completed the report and attended 2 meetings. Now I'm relaxing at home. Do you want to play an online game?" "Yes, that sounds fun. Let's play for an hour before dinner." This example shows casual, natural English. Notice the use of phrases like, "I managed to finish it," "I'm relaxing at home," and "that sounds fun." These are expressions learners can use in everyday conversation to sound natural and confident. Another common evening activity is planning for the next day. Effective planning can reduce stress and improve productivity. You might say, "Tomorrow I have a busy schedule. I need to wake up early, attend a meeting, and finish a report. I will also review my English vocabulary before bedtime." A student might plan similarly. "Tomorrow I have classes in the morning and I need to complete my history assignment. I will also practice speaking English with a friend." Using time expressions such as tomorrow, in the morning, and before bedtime helps learners describe routines clearly and organize their thoughts. Some people like to use evenings for language practice with family members or roommates. For example, you could practice English by talking about your day. "I started my day at 7 a.m. and had breakfast at 7:30. Then I went to work and attended a meeting at 10 a.m. In the afternoon, I finished the report and sent emails. After work, I went home and cooked dinner. Now I'm relaxing and listening to this podcast." Your family member might respond, "That's a full day. I went to school in the morning and studied in the library in the afternoon. In the evening, I did my homework and practiced listening to English listening." This type of dialogue allows learners to practice past tense, sequence words like then and after, and descriptive language. It also encourages speaking naturally and fluently. Evenings can also include physical activity. Many people like to walk, jog, or exercise at home. For instance, I go for a 20-minute walk in the evening. It helps me relax and stay healthy. Or, I do light stretching exercises after dinner to relieve stress. I also listen to an English audiobook while stretching. Using English to describe exercise routines is useful because it combines daily life vocabulary with verbs and adverbs. Another useful evening activity is reviewing learning materials. Students might review vocabulary or grammar. "Today, I learned some new words at school. I will write sentences with each word to remember them." Office workers might do something similar. "I attended a meeting today and heard new vocabulary related to business. I will write down these words and use them in emails tomorrow." Reviewing and using new words and sentences is a proven method for long-term retention. Evenings are also a great time to reflect on achievements and challenges. For example, a student might think, I finished all my homework and understood the new lesson. I feel proud of my work today. A worker might reflect, I completed the report on time and prepared for tomorrow's meeting. It was a productive day, even though it was busy. Reflection is an important skill not just for English learning, but for overall personal growth. It encourages learners to use descriptive language, past tense, and evaluation phrases like, I feel proud, it was productive, and even though it was busy. For those who like technology, evenings can also involve watching tutorials, listening to podcasts, or reading articles online. For example, I watched a tutorial on how to improve my Excel skills. It taught me new formulas and tips for organizing data. Or I listened to an English podcast while having dinner. It helped me learn new vocabulary and practice listening comprehension. Combining learning with relaxation is an effective strategy for language improvement. Sometimes evenings include planning social events or online meetings. For instance, I'm planning a video call with my friends tomorrow evening. We will discuss our weekend plans and practice speaking English together. Or, I have a group project meeting online tonight. We will discuss our tasks and share ideas for the presentation. These examples use phrases like planning a video call, discuss our tasks, and share ideas, which are very useful for professional and academic contexts. Finally, before going to bed, many people prepare for rest and reflect one last time. You might say, I will set my alarm for 7 a.m., review my notes for tomorrow, and go to bed by 10 p.m. Or, I read a few pages of my English book before sleeping. It helps me relax and remember new words. Using phrases like set my alarm, review my notes, and helps me relax adds to practical daily vocabulary for learners. As the evening progresses, people often engage in more interactive activities that involve communication and decision-making. For instance, you might be planning a small get-together with friends or family. You could say, I'm thinking about organizing a small dinner with friends on Saturday. I'll prepare some snacks and maybe we can order a pizza. A friend might respond, that sounds great. I can bring a dessert and maybe we can play some games after dinner. This type of conversation introduces future planning vocabulary, phrases for suggesting ideas, and polite responses like, that sounds great, or I can bring. Sometimes evenings involve helping others or giving advice. Imagine a friend calls and says, Julia, I feel really stressed about my homework. I don't know how to finish it on time. A useful response could be, don't worry, let's break it down into smaller tasks. First, you can complete the easiest questions and then work on the more difficult ones. Take short breaks and it will be easier to finish on time. Here, learners are exposed to problem-solving language, modal verbs like can and will, and sequencing words like first and then. Evenings can also be a time to practice English with technology, especially if you want to improve your listening skills. You might watch an English video tutorial, listen to an audiobook, or practice speaking with a language app. For example, I listened to a podcast about daily routines today. It helped me understand new phrases like wrap up the day and stay on track. Then, You could try using those phrases in sentences. I wrapped up my day by finishing the reports and reviewing my emails. Or, I need to stay on track with my tasks tomorrow. This practice helps learners remember expressions and use them naturally in context. Casual conversations are a large part of the evening as well. For example, if you have roommates or family members at home, you might talk about your day. Hi, how was your day? Busy but productive. I had a meeting in the morning and finished a report in the afternoon. What about you? I had classes in the morning and studied for the test in the afternoon. I also did some practice listening in English. These conversations are simple but very useful for learners. They show how to ask about someone's day, how to give detailed answers, and how to listen carefully. Phrases like busy but productive and I also did some practice help learners sound more fluent and confident in everyday English. Sometimes evenings involve preparing meals or sharing cooking experiences. For instance, you might say, I cooked chicken and vegetables for dinner tonight. It took about 30 minutes, but it was worth it. A friend or family member could respond, that sounds delicious. I made pasta today. Maybe next time we can cook together. Talking about cooking provides opportunities to practice vocabulary for food, actions, and time expressions such as took about 30 minutes, next time, and cook together. Evenings are also a perfect time for reflection and self-evaluation. For example, you might think, today was challenging, but I managed to finish all my tasks. I'm happy with my progress. Tomorrow, I want to focus on improving my presentation skills. A student might reflect, I studied for 2 hours this evening and reviewed my new vocabulary. I feel confident about tomorrow's class. Reflecting in English helps learners practice past and future tenses, connect ideas, and express feelings clearly. Another common evening activity is planning for future goals or projects. For example, I want to improve my English vocabulary, so I plan to learn 5 new words every evening. I will also try to use them in sentences. Or, I have a presentation next week, so I will practice speaking in front of a mirror tonight. It'll help me feel confident. Using phrases like I plan to, I will try, and it'll help me is very useful for expressing intentions, goals, and reasons. Sometimes evenings involve listening to or watching educational content. You could say, I watched a documentary about climate change. I learned new words like pollution, renewable energy, and conservation. I also listened carefully to understand the main ideas. Or, I listened to a business podcast. They discuss topics like marketing, customer service, and teamwork. I wrote down the words I didn't know and looked them up. Using English in this way combines listening, note-taking, and vocabulary practice, which is essential for advanced learners. Evenings can also involve communication through messaging or video calls. For instance, a friend might text, Hey Julia, do you want to join the online study group tonight? You could reply, Sure, I need to review some vocabulary first, but I'll join in 10 minutes. During the video call, you might say, I finished my homework for today, but I want to discuss the new grammar rules. Can anyone explain them? These interactions expose learners to informal English, polite requests, and collaboration phrases. Sometimes evenings include planning entertainment or special activities. You might say, on Saturday, I want to visit the museum with my friends. We'll meet at 10 a.m. and spend the morning there. After that, we might have lunch at a cafe. Your friend could respond, that sounds fun. I can take photos and maybe we can write a small report about the visit in English. Using future plans and descriptive phrases helps learners practice talking about schedules, activities, and intentions. Evenings are also perfect for practicing English reflection and journaling. For instance, you could write, today I had a busy day at work. I completed a report, attended a meeting, and replied to client emails. I also reviewed my English vocabulary. I feel satisfied with my day and ready for tomorrow. Or a student could write, I studied for my classes and finished my homework. I also listened to a podcast and learned new phrases. I feel confident about speaking English. Writing or speaking these reflections aloud helps learners organize thoughts, practice tenses, and improve fluency. Finally, before going to bed, many people prepare for sleep and relaxation. For example, I'll set my alarm for 7 a.m., read an English book for 10 minutes, and go to bed by 10:30 p.m. Or, I like to listen to soft music while reviewing vocabulary I learned today. It helps me relax and remember new words. Using phrases like, I'll set my alarm, I like to, and it helps me is practical for daily routines and improves learners' natural English expressions. As the evening turns into late night, many people engage in personal projects, hobbies, or quiet learning activities. For instance, you might decide to continue a personal project you started during the day. I'm going to finish organizing my documents tonight. I want to make sure everything is ready for tomorrow. Another example could be, I started a painting yesterday and I want to add more colors tonight. It's relaxing and helps me focus. Talking about hobbies in English gives learners opportunities to practice descriptive language, verbs for actions, and adjectives to describe feelings such as relaxing, focused, and creative. Sometimes late evenings involve solving problems or unexpected tasks. Imagine a student realizes, I forgot to submit my assignment online. I need to finish it now before the deadline. Or an office worker might say, the client sent an urgent request just now. I need to revise the report tonight and send it again. These situations allow learners to practice expressions of urgency, problem-solving language, and time-related vocabulary such as before the deadline, urgent requests, and revise the report. Late at night, many people also reflect on their day and set goals for tomorrow. For example, today was productive. I completed my tasks and attended all my meetings. Tomorrow, I need to focus on the new project and prepare my presentation. A student might reflect, I finished my homework and listened to an English podcast. Tomorrow, I will review the new vocabulary and practice speaking with a friend. Reflection phrases like, I need to, I will, and today was productive help learners organize their thoughts in English and practice both past and future tenses. Evenings and late nights are also a time for practicing conversational English with family or friends. For example, a casual conversation might go like this. Hey, Julia, did you enjoy your day? Yes, I finished my tasks at work and even had time to read a book. How about you? I had school in the morning and studied in the library in the afternoon. Later, I did some practice exercises for English. This type of dialogue helps learners understand question and answer formats, as well as natural expressions for daily activities, like, did you enjoy your day? And I had activity in the morning are very useful for everyday conversations. Sometimes people use late evenings to review lessons or practice skills. For instance, a student might say, I listened to the podcast twice today. I understood most of it, but I want to listen again to catch new words. An office worker might practice business English. I read an article about project management. I learned new words like milestone, timeline, and deliverables. I'll use them in my report tomorrow. This kind of active learning and repetition is essential for building fluency and comprehension. Late night conversations often involve solving problems or giving advice. Imagine a friend calls and says, Julia, I don't understand this math problem. Can you help me? A helpful response could be, sure, let's look at it step by step. First, identify the information given, then write down what you need to find. Finally, solve each part carefully. Similarly, a colleague might ask, I'm confused about the report. How should I start? You could advise, begin by writing the introduction, then list the main points clearly. Check your facts before sending it to the client. These interactions teach learners how to give clear instructions, use sequence words, and communicate politely. Evenings are also common for casual conversations about plans, entertainment, or hobbies. For example, a conversation with a friend might go like this. Do you want to watch a movie tonight? Sure. What do you want to watch? How about a documentary? I want to learn something new. Sounds perfect. I'll prepare some snacks and we can watch it together. These simple dialogues include phrases for making suggestions, agreeing politely, and expressing preferences, all very important in everyday English. Using expressions like how about and sounds perfect helps learners sound natural and friendly. Another common late night activity is planning for the weekend or future events. For instance, on Saturday, I want to visit the park and take some photos. I'll meet my friends at 10 a.m. and we'll have lunch together afterward. Or, next week, I have a presentation at work. I will practice my speech tonight to feel more confident. Talking about future events gives learners practice with future tenses, time expressions, and sequencing words. Evening and late night time can also be used for entertainment with English content. For example, I watched a video about healthy habits today. I learned phrases like maintain a routine, stay focused, and manage time effectively. I will try to use them in my writing tomorrow. Or, I listened to a podcast about interesting jobs. I learned words like career path, skills required, and job satisfaction. It was very useful. Listening to real English content at night reinforces vocabulary, comprehension, and pronunciation skills. Some people use late evenings for practical household tasks too. For example, I need to wash the dishes before going to bed. It takes only 10 minutes and then I can relax. Or, I will fold the laundry and put everything away. It's a good habit to finish small tasks before sleeping. Talking about everyday chores in English helps learners describe routines and use verbs naturally. Evenings can also involve creative thinking or personal projects. For example, I started writing a short story today. I'm creating characters and thinking about the plot. Writing in English helps me improve my vocabulary and sentence structure. Another example, I like to draw in the evening. I describe my drawing process in English to practice descriptive language. For instance, I'm coloring the tree green and the sky blue. Creative activities provide learners with opportunities to use English actively and express ideas clearly. Finally, as the night comes to an end, people often prepare for bed and reflect one last time. For instance, I will review my vocabulary notes, set my alarm for 7 a.m., and then go to sleep. Today was productive, and I feel ready for tomorrow. Or, I listened to an English podcast before bed. I understood most of it, but I will listen again tomorrow to improve my comprehension. These routines help learners practice past and future tenses, reflection phrases, and sequencing words, all essential for advanced listening and speaking skills. It was already 9:30 p.m. and the office was quiet, except for the soft hum of the air conditioner. Today had been particularly challenging. There was an unexpected meeting with a client, and Julia had to prepare a report she hadn't planned for. She remembered walking into the office that morning, coffee in hand, thinking it would be a regular day. But by 11 a.m., her manager had asked her to revise the sales report and prepare a summary for the client call at 2 p.m. Julia thought to herself, I need to stay calm and focused. If I work step by step, I can finish everything on time. During the meeting, Julia noticed that the client had several questions about last month's data. She explained clearly, our sales increased by 10% in the last quarter. We also noticed that customer engagement has improved due to our new campaign. The client nodded and asked for more details about the campaign strategies. Julia had prepared for this, so she answered confidently. We focused on social media ads targeted at young adults and used email newsletters to keep our customers informed. The campaign results show positive engagement metrics. The client seemed satisfied, and Julia felt a sense of relief. After returning to her desk, she decided to review the next day's tasks. She wrote in her notebook, tomorrow, finish the slides, review the report, and prepare emails for clients. Planning her schedule in advance helped her organize her thoughts and reduce stress. She also practiced forming sentences in English as she wrote. I will finish the slides by 10 a.m., then I will check the report. After that, I will send emails before lunch. Writing like this is an excellent way for learners to practice sequencing, future tense, and clear sentence structure. Later that evening, Julia went home and found her roommate Emma sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea. Hi, Julia. How was your day? Emma asked. Julia smiled and replied, busy but productive. I had an unexpected meeting with the client and I finished revising the report. What about you? Emma nodded. I had school in the morning and studied in the library in the afternoon. I also prepared for tomorrow's English presentation. Julia listened carefully and said, that sounds good. Do you want to practice your presentation now? Emma agreed, and they spent the next 30 minutes practicing. Julia gave feedback. Try to speak more slowly here and emphasize the word important when you talk about your main points. Also, you can add a small example to make it more interesting. Emma smiled. Thanks. I feel more confident now. This interaction showed learners how to practice giving advice, polite suggestions, and encouragement in English. After practicing, Julia decided to relax for a bit. She brewed some herbal tea and sat on the sofa, reflecting on her day. Today was hectic, but I handled everything well. I also helped Emma with her presentation, which was nice. She then thought about tomorrow. I need to wake up early, finish the slides, and send the emails. I also want to review the vocabulary I learned today. Reflection and planning like this help learners use past and future tenses, descriptive language, and expressions of feelings. As Julia prepared dinner, she thought about trying a new recipe. I'll cook pasta with vegetables tonight, she said aloud. While chopping carrots and bell peppers, she described her actions in English. I'm cutting the carrots into small pieces. I'll add them to the pan with olive oil and garlic. Then I'll cook the pasta and mix everything together. Talking through actions like this is a useful technique for practicing English in daily routines. After dinner, Julia decided to listen to an English podcast. She chose one about interesting jobs around the world. The speaker said, "People in different countries have unique daily routines. Some start their work very early in the morning, while others prefer late mornings. Many people use short breaks to relax or learn new skills." Julia noted down new words: routine, relax, skill, unique. She repeated sentences aloud. I will use these words in my sentences tomorrow. This method reinforces listening comprehension, vocabulary, and speaking practice. Later, Emma suggested a short walk in the neighborhood. It's a nice evening and a walk will help us relax, she said. Julia agreed. Yes, walking is a good idea. It also gives us a chance to practice speaking English casually. As they walked, they talked about their plans. Julia, what are you planning for the weekend? Emma asked. I want to finish some personal projects and maybe watch a documentary. What about you, Emma? I plan to visit the library and finish reading a book. Maybe we can go for a small picnic on Saturday. These conversations help learners practice asking and answering questions, expressing plans, and using natural phrases like, what about you? And maybe we can. After returning home, they reviewed their English notes together. Julia said, do you remember the new words we learned today? Her friend replied, yes, routine, skill, and relax. Also, I learned the phrase handle a situation. Julia smiled. Great. Can you make a sentence with it? Her friend answered, yes. Today I handled a difficult homework problem with your help. Julia nodded. Perfect. That's exactly how to use it. Reviewing words and making sentences is essential for internalizing vocabulary and practicing grammar. As midnight approached, Julia reflected quietly. Today was productive. I finished my tasks, helped a friend, and practiced English. I also learned new words from a podcast. Tomorrow, I'll review these words, complete my slides, and send emails. I feel ready for a good day. Expressing thoughts like this aloud or in writing helps learners practice fluency, past and future tenses, and expressing feelings and intentions. Before sleeping, Julia set an alarm for 7 a.m., turned off the lights, and listened to soft music. I like to review my vocabulary quietly before sleeping, she thought. It helps me remember the words and relax at the same time. Listening or reading English before bed is a practical way to reinforce learning and end the day positively. The next morning, Julia introduced a new story to help listeners learn through real-life examples. Samantha, a university student, looked at the clock and realized it was already 7:20 p.m. She had just returned to her dorm after a long day at school. The day had started early with a 7:30 a.m. lecture on modern history. During the lecture, the professor explained the causes of the Industrial Revolution and used words like mechanization, urbanization, and economic growth. Samantha took careful notes. Mechanization means using machines instead of manual work. Urbanization is when more people move to cities. Economic growth happens when production and trade increase. Taking notes like this not only helped her understand the lecture, but also reinforced her vocabulary and sentence structure in English. After class, Samantha met her friend Daniel in the library. Daniel looked stressed and said, "I have so much to do and the deadline is tomorrow. I'm not sure I can finish everything." Samantha replied, "Don't worry. Let's divide the work. I can summarize the articles, and you can write the introduction and conclusion. It will be easier if we work together." This kind of teamwork teaches learners how to offer advice, suggest solutions, and use collaborative phrases like, "Don't worry, let's divide the work," and "It will be easier if we work together." While working, Samantha realized she had forgotten an important book for her research. She sighed, "I can't believe I left it in my dorm. I need to find an alternative source quickly." Daniel suggested, "Check online journals. Some of them have the same information and we can cite them." Samantha smiled. "Good idea. I'll search online now." These everyday situations help learners practice problem-solving language, such as "I need to" and "good idea." After finishing their work, they went to the campus cafe for a quick snack. While eating, Daniel asked, "How was your history lecture?" Samantha replied, "It was interesting but long. I learned about the Industrial Revolution and how cities changed during that time." Daniel said, "Sounds good. I have a lecture on environmental science tomorrow. I hope it's not too difficult." Samantha smiled. "I'm sure it'll be fine. Just take notes and review them tonight. That usually helps." Back at her dorm around 8:30 p.m., Samantha opened her English notebook and reviewed vocabulary from the podcast she listened to last night. Words like routine, reflect, challenge, and opportunity. She made sentences with each. It's important to maintain a routine for studying English every day. I like to reflect on my day before sleeping. Today's assignment was a challenge, but I managed it. Learning English is a great opportunity for my future. Creating sentences like this helps learners internalize vocabulary and use grammar naturally. Later, Samantha's friend Mia messaged her, "Hey, do you want to join the online study group for English? We're discussing the new podcast episode." Samantha replied, "Yes, I'll join in 10 minutes. I just need to finish a few notes first." During the study group, Samantha practiced listening and speaking. One friend asked, "Can you explain the meaning of reflect?" Samantha said, "Sure. It means to think carefully about something. For example, I reflect on my day to understand what I did well and what I can improve." Another friend said, "Great example. I'll use it too." These conversations help learners reinforce vocabulary, pronunciation, and comprehension while practicing how to explain ideas clearly. Afterward, Samantha made some tea and reflected on her day. Today was productive. I attended lectures, helped Daniel with his research, and joined the study group. I reviewed vocabulary and made new sentences. I feel satisfied. Expressing thoughts aloud like this is an excellent way to build spoken English fluency. Before sleeping, she said to herself, "Tomorrow, I'll prepare for my environmental science lecture, review my history notes, and finish my assignment. I also want to listen to another podcast episode in the evening." Using "I will" and "I want to" helps learners express future plans naturally. At 11 p.m., her roommate Mia entered the room. "Hi, are you still studying?" "Yes," Samantha replied. "I just finished reviewing vocabulary. I'm going to read a little before bed." Mia smiled. "That's good. Let's try to sleep early tonight." Samantha agreed. "Yes, sleep is important. I'll set my alarm for 7 a.m. and go to bed soon." This dialogue shows learners how to talk about routines, make polite suggestions, and agree naturally. Before sleeping, Samantha reflected again. "Today was busy, but I managed everything. I helped a friend, joined a study group, and learned new words. I feel proud of myself. Tomorrow, I'll continue learning and practicing English." She turned off the light, listened to soft music, and thought. "I like to review my vocabulary quietly before sleeping. It helps me remember the words and relax." Listening or reading in English before sleeping is a powerful way to reinforce learning and end the day positively. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of English Without Limit, hosted by Julia. Remember, language learning isn't just about studying, it's about living the language every day. Keep listening, keep speaking, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every word you say brings you closer to fluency. Thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow English Without Limit for more inspiring lessons and real-life English practice. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing, because your English truly has no limits.